Imagine watching everything around you literally just fall apart. The systems you trusted, the world you knew, all of it crumbling. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're diving into something absolutely fascinating: surviving systemic collapse. Have you ever wondered what it actually takes to look at impossible odds, a failing system, total despair, and not just survive it, but completely rewrite the future? Well, today we're looking at a literal masterclass in crisis management. We're going to break down the life and the incredibly sharp strategies of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, a leader who was born from the ashes of the rotting Ottoman Empire.
Now, this isn't just a history lesson. Think of it as your own personal survival and success blueprint. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. Hope born amidst crisis. 2. Steel will shaped by hardships. 3. Gallipoli, leadership in crisis. 4. Liberation, flawless strategy. 5. Building the future. And finally, 6. The endless legacy. So, for any of you watching who want to know how to step up when things fall apart, overcome impossible odds, and truly lead under extreme pressure, you're going to want to pay close attention. Okay, let's dive into this.
Section 1. Hope born amidst crisis, surviving the collapse. Okay, so set this scene with me. The year is 1881. The Ottoman Empire, which used to rule across 3 massive continents, is now suffering from severe economic crises, palace intrigues, and wild rebellions. From the outside, sure, it looks huge, but on the inside, it is rotting. People are literally talking about its total collapse. And right in the middle of this dark, chaotic uncertainty, in a modest house in Thessalonica, a child named Mustafa is born. He's a quiet kid, but unusually observant, stepping into a world where absolutely nothing is guaranteed. Now take a look at the stark contrast here. While the vast majority of society had just kind of surrendered to blind obedience and hopelessness, Mustafa's mind was constantly working. Have you ever felt like you're the only one questioning a failing system? That was him. He studied human behavior, he questioned events around him, and he constantly tried to dig into the why behind everything. While everyone else was just going with the flow, he was building the ultimate analytical mindset. And then hits the first major breaking point: the devastating loss of his father, Ali Reza Effendi. Overnight, the family's financial security just vanishes. But it's in this deep, agonizing struggle that an incredibly profound bond is forged with his mother, Zubaydah Hanım. Together, they faced absolute, terrifying uncertainty. From her incredible resilience, he learned how to stand firmly on his own 2 feet, silently carrying his pain. You see, he was building the emotional calluses he would eventually need to stand fearlessly in front of millions.
Moving to Section 2. Steel will shaped by hardships, becoming Kemal. An ordinary life was just never going to be enough for him. He ends up entering military school, and this place becomes the crucible for his entire identity. He absolutely thrives on the intense discipline, he excels in mathematics, and his natural knack for leadership begins to shine so brightly that his math teacher actually gives him the name Kemal, which means maturity and perfection. And just like that, Mustafa Kemal is born.
But here's the thing, he wasn't just hitting the books. As a young officer, he was actively cultivating ideas that were, frankly, incredibly dangerous for that time period. He realized that the real enemy wasn't just sitting across the border, it was the internal rot within his own empire. He questioned the absolute status quo and started heavily exploring concepts of freedom and national sovereignty. And for those of you watching, seriously, write this down. When you are trapped in a flawed system, questioning the rules and thinking critically is your absolute greatest asset.
Section 3. Gallipoli, leadership in crisis. facing the storm. We're jumping ahead to 1915 now, to one of the most horrifying battlefields in human history, Gallipoli. Try to picture the sensory overload for a second. Bullets are literally tearing the air apart. There's the deafening, non-stop roar of artillery, and the soil is just thick with blood. This is no ordinary military engagement. This is a desperate, teeth-gritting fight for survival where entire empires are on the line. The absolute strongest naval forces in the world, we're talking the British and the French, have arrived right at the gates. If they manage to take Istanbul, the Ottoman Empire is erased from history, forever. Naturally, extreme panic and this overwhelming, suffocating fear start spreading through the ranks like a virus. The weight of this impending collapse is just crushing. It is the ultimate crisis moment. And right there, in the dead center of this storm, Mustafa Kemal steps forward and makes a decision that alters the course of the world. Listen to the absolute raw power of this command. I am not ordering you to attack. I am ordering you to die. Chilling, right? And this brilliantly illustrates his leadership. This wasn't just a standard military order. This was the ultimate, rawest example of sacrificial leadership. He was looking his men in the eye and asking them to face death itself just to buy the precious time their nation needed to survive. But why on earth did they listen to him? Because he was leading from the front. Mustafa Kemal wasn't safely tucked away behind a desk miles from the action handing out orders. He stood right there on the front lines as the bullets flew. True leaders, the ones who actually change things, take the hardest risks themselves before they ever ask their team to do the same. This is exactly what inspired absolute trust, and it's what forced the strongest armies in the world to eventually pack up and retreat. Section 4. Liberation. Flawless strategy, rewriting the rules. So despite the absolute miracle they pulled off at Gallipoli, the wider First World War still ends in a devastating defeat for the Ottoman Empire. Now we enter a period of total societal despair. The empire is completely on its knees. The armies are disbanded, weapons are confiscated, and foreign soldiers are literally patrolling the streets of Istanbul. The leaders are desperate, and most people genuinely believe that surrendering is their only option. But as you'll see here on this timeline, look at how fast reality can change when you apply unwavering determination to a massive crisis. In May 1919, he takes the Bandurma ferry to Samsun. Boom! That same year, he's organizing the Erzurum and Sivas Congresses. By 1921, they're fighting the incredibly critical Battle of Sakarya. In 1922, he launches the Great Offensive. And by October 1923, a completely new republic is declared. Think about that. In just over 4 years, he engineers a complete, total national resurrection. Let's pause and think about this as a crisis strategy report. Stop and ask yourself directly, what do you do when literally all hope is gone, you have zero money, no regular army to speak of, and an enemy is actively advancing on your home? How does a human brain even process that level of disaster? Well, his response is basically the ultimate masterclass in strategic crisis management. Let's break it down. Here are the actionable steps he took. Step 1. Rebuild faith, because a nation is only truly defeated when it loses its belief. So he traveled from city to city, holding these congresses, literally curing the nation's hopelessness on the ground, telling everyday people that they had to take charge of their own destiny. Step 2. Break the old rules of combat. And Step 3. Execute without a single compromise. The genius of breaking the rules really shines at the Battle of Sakarya in 1921. The Greek army was rapidly advancing on Ankara. Panic was at an all-time high. Now, the conventional military rulebook said you hold a strict defensive line, and if that line breaks, game over, you lose. But Mustafa Kemal completely rips up the rulebook. He says there is no line of defense, only an area of defense. That area is the entire homeland. He teaches us a massive lesson here. When playing by conventional rules guarantees your failure, you have to completely rewrite those rules.
And it was exactly that genius mindset shift that set the stage for the Great Offensive in 1922. After months of super secretive, careful preparation, he unleashes the final flawless execution. Armies, your first target is the Mediterranean. Forward. This wasn't just a military maneuver. This was the crushing final blow that completely shattered the illusion of an invincible enemy, and it secured their physical victory for good.
Section 5. Building the Future, the Burden of Transformation. Now here's the crazy part. Winning the actual war was literally just the beginning. He now faced an even larger, much more complex crisis. He had to completely transform the deeply entrenched mindset of a ruined society and build a brand new modern state right out of the ashes of a completely outdated empire.
The scale of this mindset transformation was just massive. He officially ended the old Ottoman order. He declared the Republic on October 29, 1923. He changed the entire alphabet, he completely overhauled the education system, and he established crucial women's rights and secularism. But let's be real. Pushing society forward like this meant he had to carry this invisible, isolating loneliness and an unbelievably heavy burden to make sure his nation's future was secure. And guys, this took a massive, undeniable physical toll on him. He worked relentlessly, almost without stopping. From the outside, he always projected immense strength, but behind closed doors, his health was steadily failing. He sacrificed practically all his personal comfort because he understood something vital. Winning a war on the battlefield just wasn't enough. He had to win the future. He wasn't living for himself anymore. He was living entirely for his people. Section 6. The Endless Legacy. The Will That Never Dies. This brings us to his final days. It is a really solemn reminder that, at the end of the day, even the most monumental leaders are human, but the shockwaves of their decisions can echo through time forever. November 10, 1938. As the morning hours slowly tick by, this heavy, profound silence completely fills Dolmabahce Palace. Mustafa Kemal Atatürk passes away, and at that exact moment, it wasn't just Turkey that felt it. It honestly felt as if time just seemingly stopped for the entire world. A nation hadn't just lost a brilliant leader, they had lost the literal symbol of an entire era. But, some people are so impactful that they continue to live on through their ideas. His surviving legacy, this fierce commitment to absolute independence, relentless determination, and being the living proof that a nation can always rise from its own ashes, that isn't just history in a textbook. For any of you watching this explainer right now, this is a living, breathing mindset. It's a mental toolkit you can actually adopt to overcome whatever impossible odds you're facing in your own life today. Because at the end of the day, some leaders do not merely write history, they literally become the destiny of a nation. He took absolute collapse and engineered a future out of it. He won the future for you. So the only question left to ask yourself is this: armed with these strategies, how will you lead yours? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the system, keep pushing forward no matter what, and I will see you next time.